to think about the historic event in our nation's history that's going to occur only for the second time on Tuesday. Only once before has a former president of the United States, defeated for re-election, come back and been re-elected. That was over 125 years ago. We're going to do that again on Tuesday. I don't think we've all recognized that. That's an unusual and very critical moment in our future. But there's no wonder that we're referred to as the Keystone State. Every newspaper article, every TV commentator, every poll says that Pennsylvania is the key, that victory runs through our state. No pressure on us. The gentleman in Florida, when he calls me, he says, you know, it's all on you. I hope he means you, meaning you too. If he doesn't, well, it was nice knowing you. But I want to tell you something. This is an all hands on deck. And fortunately, in the Delaware County audience like this, one thing we're going to need is something that the Eagles better be doing today. We need that tush push to get across the finish line. Look, I feel good, but I am not taking anything for granted, and none of us should. We still have to work extremely hard. We've provided a lot of tools, though, for you, and the state party has been working hard to make sure we have assets that we didn't have maybe in the past. When I was first elected the chair 5 years ago, my first priority was to reduce the Democrats' voter registration advantage. It was 817,000. As of the deadline this past month of October, we have reduced that by over 525,000. The Democrats' advantage is the lowest it's been in 52 years. Some of you weren't even born back then. Unfortunately, I was. This year alone, since the primary, we've registered 100,000 new Republicans, and 70,000 Democrats have switched to the Republican Party. "55 of our 67 counties have Republican registration edge. This year alone, 3 new ones: Beaver County, Bucks County in the southeast, and Luzerne County. This is indication. In addition, the mail-in ballot voting was not very popular amongst Republicans when it first came out. But, I've always viewed this that we have to use every legal means available to vote, to win. When we didn't win. It would be like going and playing a baseball game, but our team would not have a right fielder or maybe a shortstop. Why would we do this? I went out and put together a task force. This year, we had to have a strategy. And President Trump, I spoke to him. To his credit, he did a video. He encourages everybody to make the plan to vote, whether it was by mail-in ballot, early voting, or voting at the polls. And let me tell you the results, because you all did a great job. The Democrat applications for mail-in ballots are down 700,000 from 2020. Biden only won our state by 80,000 some votes. The Republican applications are up and growing. We've cut in half the Democrats' mail-in ballot advantage. 41 of our counties have more Republican mail-in ballot applications than Democrats. We've done this flip. Why? To win this election. All of these statistics I gave you indicate in all of our minds, Pennsylvanians don't believe they're better off than they were 4 years ago. And let me tell you something. The only solution that the Democrats and Kamala Harris have offered, she offers these vibes. But you know what? Vibes will not fix this economy. Vibes will not help pay the higher gasoline prices. Vibes are not going to make our border more secure, where millions of illegal individuals are crossing into our state, and vibes are not going to make your communities feel safer. But I will tell you another thing. Vibes are not going to elect Kamala Harris either. We have to now stay the course. There's still 2 days. We can't let up, not at all. We have to work as every vote counts, and it does. But on Tuesday, I am confident Pennsylvania and the rest of the country is going to turn the page on Kamala Harris and elect Donald Trump. Thank you all.
Please welcome Matt Whitaker.
Pennsylvania, this is day 3 for my bus tour with so many other great patriots like Byron Donalds and Abel Aldonado, Chad Wolf. And we just thought we'd come here and spend a little time with y'all. So I got some questions for you, Pennsylvania. How many in this room want 4 more years of high prices? How many in this room want 4 more years of high crime? How many in this room want 4 more years of a wide open border? Well, then I think you're voting for Donald Trump, aren't you? Well, let me tell you something. I really believe that this is our time. You know, like I know, that this election, as the kids say, just hits different, doesn't it? This is the most consequential election of our lifetime. And in fact, it's not about the next 4 years. As you know, it's about the next generation. It's about your children, your grandchildren, and really it's about protecting and preserving the American dream. An American dream that works for everybody, and a president that represents us all, like Donald J. Trump will do again. I like these guys behind me. Byron, how about this crew right back here, huh? These are my people. All right, and one final thing, and I know that some of you voted early, and I know some of you want to be there on Election Day. Get your sticker and put your ballot in the box and make sure that your vote and your voice is heard. All I'm saying is that if you haven't voted yet and you're waiting till Election Day, plan on being there the whole day and do not let them tell you no. You are going to stand in line, bring a lunch. And I know if we all do what we're supposed to do, if we all come together as Trump supporters, as Make America Great Again enthusiasts, and as true patriots, it will be just like the dawn 248 years ago here in Pennsylvania when the Founding Fathers signed the Declaration of Independence and declared the United States of America the beacon for liberty in the entire world. So I got one final question for you. On November 5th, who is the next president of the United States? Thank you.
Please welcome Governor of North Dakota, Doug Burgum.
Welcome, Pennsylvania. Thank you for being here today. I got a simple question for you, and it's multiple choice. The answers are Harris or Trump. Who are we going to send to the White House? Who are we going to send to the White House? Okay, one more time, this time so loud that we drowned out all that joy at the Harris headquarters. Who's going to the White House on Tuesday? That's right, that's right. Well, I've got a simple message for all of you, and I want to extend that on behalf of President Trump and all the great patriots that all of you are and all the people that have been traveling around the country. Is what's going on here today is happening in states and counties all over the nation. And when you have a gathering like this where people gather with a pledge and a prayer, this is the best of America. This is people coming together because you're here, because you care about your neighbors, and you believe in a country where neighbors still help neighbors, and where you know that you're here not just for yourself, but you're here because of your kids and your grandkids. And the message I want to say to you is one of gratitude, because this election has been fought now. It's been going on really for 4 years. And here we are back at the brink, 2 days away from sending Donald Trump back to the White House. And we're here because of the work that all of you do. And with 48 hours to go, the gratitude is for everything you've done. You've put up yard signs, you've talked to your friends, your neighbors, you've posted online, you've taken pictures. You know, we talk about the media, but you're all the media. You've got an opportunity to share with your group and get people to get out and vote. And that's what it's going to come down to. This could still be a very close race on Tuesday, and this race is going to be decided not in the 50 states. It's going to be decided in 7 states, and in those 7 states, it's going to be decided in 19 counties. There's 3,000 counties in America. 19 counties will decide this race. This is one of them, and you're here, and you're going to make a difference. This morning we had a chance on the bus tour. We were in Carbon County, and after the event was over, I was talking to a woman just like you, had come to this event there because she cared about her community, cared about everything. She was driving home a couple weeks ago, and she had a Trump t-shirt on, and there was a car accident, and she'd seen a bunch of people keep rolling by and not stopping. And she said, I better stop and see if that person's okay, because she's just like you, someone that cared. She pulled in and said, are you okay? And the person was okay. They were visiting from Florida. Found out, she said, what do you? She said, I'm a Trump volunteer. I'm doing that. She was wearing her Trump t-shirt. That individual was from Florida. She told me that after they got back home safely, the person was okay. She helped them get the care they needed, helped them get connected, went back to Florida. That individual has converted about 10 votes in Florida to vote for President Trump. That's the kind of impact that all of you are having. And I just want to tell you quickly why I'm here. I was in the private sector my whole life until the day that first time I ever ran for office was the same, and I got elected for the first time the same night that President Trump got elected. Both of us that same night. And I remember going into that night thinking it was going to be pretty fun to be the governor of a state that I grew up in, and I came from a small town in North Dakota, 300 people, and I thought this is going to be fun because I love this place and I love this country. And then as that night went on and the numbers came in, and you guys probably all remember that, November of 2016. And then Hillary was going down and Trump was going up, and he ended up winning. And wasn't that an incredible night? That feeling that night, that was amazing. And as it turned out, it was so much fun for First Lady Catherine and I to serve with President Trump as the president. We had the wind at our back. We had someone who was cutting taxes. He was cutting regulation. He understood that the states created the federal government and not the other way around, and that states were respected to do what they needed to do to get the job done. And so we had this great thing rolling along. And then when Biden and Harris got in office, we got reelected. I had the same job, but my job changed completely. It changed completely. What I have had to do the last 4 years is fight our own federal government as they try to take away the rights of states, the rights of people, including our right to run our economy like Pennsylvania. We're an energy state, you're an energy state, and they're choking states like ours. And when they do that, they raise the price of everything. They drive inflation up. They shut down American energy. And you know who benefits the most? You know who celebrates when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris say, we're going to stop exporting U.S. natural gas? They have a party in the Kremlin. They have a party, the Ayatollahs in Iran have a party because it helps them. And what are they doing with all of the oil money they're making? They're funding wars against us and our allies. This country, 2/3 of America believe we're on the wrong track. And I tell you, we're not just off by a couple of degrees. We are 180 degrees in the wrong direction on energy. We're 180 degrees in the wrong direction on our economy. We're 180 degrees on national security. And as a governor under Biden and Harris, she's the border czar. I've been down to the border more times than she has. We've had troops. One of the great honors and the great responsibilities of being a governor is the commander and the chief of your National Guard. I've had troops at that border almost continuously during this administration. It's worse than anything you've ever heard of, anything that's ever reported. Most underreported story every day in America is what's going on at the border. And I can tell you they're 180 degrees wrong on the border. But there's one person we know that this mess we're inheriting that can fix it. And you know who that person is? Donald J. Trump can fix it. Yes, they've left an incredible mess of a broken economy, an open border, wars abroad, unsafe cities. Because along with that, along with the invasion we've also had mass casualties. We've lost the equivalent of 5 Vietnams worth of Americans to overdose deaths during the Biden-Harris administration. And I can tell you, I'm so happy that we've got that our team, because I love putting our team, Trump-Vance, against their team. Let me tell you about their team. I've talked about Kamala, but Tim Walz, Governor Walz, he's my neighbor in Minnesota. Tim Walz is my neighbor. Yeah. And I know you want to boo Tim, but I just have to tell you, from the perspective of North Dakota, he's going to win the Economic Developer of the Year because billions of dollars of businesses have left Minnesota and moved to North Dakota. And we just want to give him a shout out and tell him thank you. Thank you, Tim, for that. Because we've got the most liberal candidate we've ever had in Kamala Harris, who's from California, and then we got a governor in the middle of the country that's passed every California liberal. Imagine, they call it the land of 10,000 lakes. Well, you know what they call it now? The land of 10,000 taxes and regulations, because that's what they've got going on. So our team, what a team we've got. President Trump at the top, J.D. Vance. How about J.D. Vance? You're going to hear from him shortly. Yep. Someone who served his country, and also someone who understands that the disease of addiction is ravaging our country, and he's going to do something about that. So what a team that we've got. They're going to get it done for us, absolutely. So excited that we're going to have JD here, so excited that you're all here. And let me close with this. One of our great presidents was Theodore Roosevelt. And Theodore Roosevelt said, the great prize in life is the opportunity to work hard at work worth doing. And I want to close where I started, with gratitude for all of you, because everybody here who's out working to get the vote out, everybody who's here putting up yard signs, making a post, calling your friends, volunteering, being a captain. I see those white caps out there. All of you are doing work that's work worth doing. And I want to say again, thank you. You're going to be the difference maker. When we send Trump back to the White House, it's coming through this county. It's coming through Pennsylvania. Let's go, Pennsylvania. Let's win it all on Tuesday. Thank you. Thank you.
Please welcome Governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin.
Thank you. Okay, Pennsylvania, you ready to win or what? From a governor of a commonwealth to another commonwealth, it is time to put Donald J. Trump in the White House. Now, there's been a lot of great things that have happened in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia particularly. There was a great document that was written here by a guy named Thomas Jefferson. You know, George Washington accepted the command for the Continental Army here in Philadelphia. I want to thank you for being so kind to two great Virginians when they were on vacation here. My friends, elections have consequences. They have real consequences, and I will tell you that this election is at the heart of the consequences for the future of America. You see, we have seen important elections in the past. We have seen elections where the country looked like it was in jeopardy or in peril. But let me tell you, in my lifetime, there has never been a more important election than the one that's going to be held on Tuesday, November 5th. And let me tell you, this is not an election about a theoretical position of progressive left against common sense conservatism. This is not a theoretical election about what might be. We know what this election is about. This election is about the future of our nation. This election is about the future of our economy. This election is about peace around the world. This election is about the future for your children and your grandchildren. This election will be the turning point for America to make America great again. Now, let me tell you, I'm a governor of a state that had not elected a Republican statewide for 12 years. 12 years. We understand what it means to see the other side. We understand what it means when Democrats have full control. We understand what it means when the progressive left dragged my home commonwealth towards California. And in 2021, Virginians stood up and said, no more, not here, no more, not here, no more, not here. And my friends, it's time for America to stand up and say, no more, not here. No more, not here. No more, not here. No more, not here. My friends, if you remember back to President Trump's first term, we had a rip-roaring economy that lifted up all Americans. We had high growth and low inflation. We had more jobs than people could fill. Companies were coming home left, right, and center. America's economy was strong. And then Joe Biden and Kamala Harris broke it. They unleashed that genie of inflation that steals your hard work and money. They unleashed it in a way that we hadn't seen for 40 years, and it's a gut punch anytime anybody goes into the grocery store. Don't think about filling up your gas tank, and don't even dream of buying a house today in America because it costs twice what it did when Donald J. Trump was president. But let me tell you, Donald J. Trump will fix it. That's what he will do. Back during Trump's first administration, we had the securest border that this nation has ever seen. They remained in Mexico, and when they caught them, they released them in Mexico. That's what they did. You just heard from Governor Burgum. Every state is now a border state. You feel it in Pennsylvania. In Virginia, we have 5 Virginians who die on average a day from fentanyl overdose. Families losing loved ones. The illegal immigrants are causing a crime wave like you haven't seen. We have young women who have been assaulted by illegal immigrants from Venezuela. And just this summer, 2 illegal immigrants from Jordan tried to crash through the front gate of Marine Corps Base Quantico in a box truck. My friends, it is time to secure the border. We had a secure border. Kamala Harris, the borders are broke it, and Donald J. Trump will fix it. During President Trump's first administration, we had peace around the world. There were no new wars. And I will tell you right now, if he were president, we would not have war in Ukraine, we would not have war in the Middle East, and we would not have China threatening Taiwan. That is clearly the truth. And my friends, that peaceful existence in the world ran into Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They broke it. We need to put Donald J. Trump back in the White House because he will fix it. These guys are great. Come on. Here we go. And my friends, during Trump's first administration, America was energy independent. You went to the gas pump and you didn't see $2 a gallon. It had a 1 in front of it. And then Kamala Harris and Joe Biden broke it. And they, in fact, made us dependent again, dependent on Venezuela and other countries that we do not want to be buying oil and gas from. My friends, they broke it, but Donald J. Trump will fix it. This is what November 5th is all about. November 5th is about a nation that we know must be great again. November 5th is about a nation that will be strong again. November 5th is about a nation that will project economic strength, a nation that will be safe, a nation with a safe border, a nation that we know will fulfill God's destiny for this country. My friends, I'm a proud Virginian, and Pennsylvania and Virginia share so much in common. We were where democracy was formed, the crucible of democracy. These founding fathers came together. And yes, a Virginian, Thomas Jefferson, wrote the most immortal words written in this hemisphere, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. My friends, these words are not just words on paper. They reflect the truth that we are created in the image of God, and as a child of God, we are endowed with these rights. And another great Virginian, George Washington, understood that we have to fight for them. We must fight to protect them. And of course, a great Virginian in Patrick Henry once stood before his fellow Virginians, urging them to step up and get it done. And he said, "I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." My friends, this is a moment where we win at the ballot box. We win at the ballot box. We elect Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance. We flip the Senate. We extend our leadership in the House. And we make America great again. And so I ask you, are you ready to win? Let's go to work and make America great again. God bless you all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the next Vice President and Second Lady of the United States, Senator J.D. Vance and Usha Vance.
Why don't we liberate these United States? We're the ones who need it worst. Let the rest of the world help us for change, and let's rebuild America first. Our highways and bridges are falling apart. Who's blessed and who has been cursed?
Hello. How we doing, Pennsylvania? I gotta say, it is great to be in the incredible Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and in just 2 days, we're gonna turn Pennsylvania red, and we're gonna take this country back and make Donald Trump the next president of the United States. Now, I want to give a shout out to some of our special guests here. In particular, I came out here and I'm like, who the hell spoke before me that was 6'8"? And the answer is Glenn Youngkin. Glenn, thank you so much for your leadership in Virginia. We've got the great Governor Doug Burgum of North Dakota. Doug, thank you. My dear friend and colleague, Senator Bill Hagerty from Tennessee. We've got the incredible, I didn't really realize we had Congressman Byron Donalds. Byron, thank you, man. God bless you. And his Florida colleague, Congressman Mike Waltz. Mike, thank you, man. We got Lawrence Tabas, the Pennsylvania GOP chair. Lawrence, where are you? Somewhere. Maybe he's backstage. Maybe he went to the next event. We've got former Attorney General Matt Whitaker. Matt, thank you, man. We have Chad Wolf in the house, former DHS Secretary. Thank you, Chad. Man, we have the whole crew here. We got David Bossie. David, good to see you, man. And of course, last but certainly not least, my favorite person, no offense to any of you, is my best friend and my lovely wife, Usha. Thank you, honey, for being here. Well, you know, I was in Las Vegas a couple of days ago, and we arrived at the airport at the same time as Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota. He's, of course, my Democratic counterpart. No, it's okay. It's all right. You know, I was thinking to myself that, you know, I actually feel a little bad for Tim Walz. So I'm going to be bipartisan here, maybe unexpectedly, especially for the cameras in the back. But, you know, Tim Walz, I think, has the toughest job in American politics. Think about this. You have had, I'm sure, tough days at work. Your hands hurt, your back's tired, but think about it. You have never had to go out there and try to convince the American people that Kamala Harris can be the president of the United States. That's tough. That's tough work. You gotta think about this. Tim Walz has to go out there and try to persuade the people of Pennsylvania that Kamala Harris is going to fix the affordability crisis that her policies created. He's got to go out there and convince the people that Kamala Harris has all of a sudden got religion on border security, despite the fact that she for 4 years bragged about opening the southern border. He's got to go persuade people that Kamala Harris has the competence to steer the world through these troubled times. And, you know, it's kind of interesting. If he's got the toughest job in American politics, I think I've got the easiest job in American politics, because you know what I get to talk about? I get to talk about the fact that when Donald J. Trump was president, inflation was at 1.5%. Americans were making good money. When Donald Trump was president, we had the fastest rising take-home pay in 40 years in the United States of America. When Donald Trump was president, the world was more peaceful and our allies were much more secure, and so were we.
And of course, when Donald J. Trump was president, the border was secure and illegal aliens knew they couldn't take advantage of the United States of America. That's a pretty good track record, I think. And here's the one thing I'll say. Look at me. I'm being just friendly to Tim Walz, and I'm going to be friendly to Kamala Harris. The one thing I'll say for Kamala Harris is that every time she does an interview, I think we pick up about 100,000 votes. Because now I remember when Kamala's got a teleprompter in front of her, she's got all these slogans and she makes all these promises that she's somehow going to do something different over the next 4 years that she hasn't done over the last 4 years. She'll stand up there and without an ounce of shame, Kamala Harris will say, on day one, we're going to make that border more secure. Or on day one, she'll say, we're going to tackle the affordability crisis affecting our fellow Americans. And I think all of us with an ounce of common sense are saying, Kamala, day one was 1,400 days ago. What the hell have you been doing the whole time? She pretends that she didn't cast the deciding vote on trillions of dollars in new spending, but check the tape. We know that she did. She pretends that she didn't brag that she was going to open the border. But remember, the minute she became the border czar, 93 executive orders, they bragged about undoing Donald Trump's successful border policies. And now our fellow Americans are dealing with the consequences. Every single time that Kamala Harris promises you that she's going to do something, ask Kamala Harris, what have you actually done? And the answer is that she's made this country weaker. She has made our border open. She has made groceries and housing unaffordable for our fellow citizens. And I think, and I've learned this from my running mate, that in just 3 days, the people of Pennsylvania are going to say to Kamala Harris, you are fired. Go back to San Francisco where you belong. We don't need you in the Oval Office. But as much, they must have had an open bar here before I showed up. You guys are having a good time. But remember, as much as she says things that they normally sound pretty bad, but if you don't think too hard about them, maybe they sound okay. When she's got a teleprompter, every now and then Kamala Harris will do an interview. Now, she usually only does softball interviews. She doesn't do the hostile media that me and President Trump do, the friendly American media. They just throw softballs at Kamala Harris. But I know that we're in a proud baseball town, and all of you appreciate that the problem with softball interviews is you've still got to be able to hit the softball. And I don't know that Kamala Harris could hit a T-ball based on what we've seen from these interviews. Now, look, you're never going to hear me complain about this job because it is the honor of my life to be able to ask you to make me your next Vice President of the United States. It's an incredible thing. Think about this. Think about this. This is the greatest country in the world. I grew up in a poor family, and now I'm here 2 days before an election asking all of you to vote for me to be your next Vice President of the United States. That's a great testament to the United States of America. So you will never hear me complain about this job, save this one time. There is one act of service that I engage in for all of you, and it's that I watch Kamala Harris do her interviews so that you don't have to. And a couple weeks ago, Kamala did an interview with The View. She did an interview with The View, and remember, we need you as sharp as possible over the next 2 days. So do not go and watch this interview. You'll lose about 20 IQ points. But again, I watched it so that you didn't have to. And what she said in this interview sort of blew up all the scripted teleprompter speeches that Kamala Harris gives. They asked her, name one thing that you would have done differently from Joe Biden. One thing in 4 years, open borders, sky-high grocery prices. And she said, nothing comes to mind. Nothing comes to mind. Now, to be fair, that could be the campaign slogan of the Harris-Walz campaign. Nothing comes to mind. But think about this. Think about this. In 15 seconds, she gave lie to the entire heart of her campaign, because as much as she goes around And as much as the media helps her tell this story that somehow she's going to be the candidate of change, we know that Kamala Harris is the candidate of more of the same. More of the same of our fellow citizens not being able to afford groceries. More of the same of our young people not being able to afford the American dream of homeownership. More of our communities flooded with fentanyl brought in by the Mexican drug cartels. And I think in 2 days, Pennsylvania, are we ready to take this country in a different direction? Are we ready to make Donald Trump the next president of the United States? I think so. You know, the thing that the media never tells the truth about this. They don't tell the truth about a lot. And, you know, the corporate media, I think they see themselves as allies of Kamala Harris rather than as people who ought to tell the truth. But look, some of this stuff is easy, right? Sometimes public policy is really hard and really complicated. But when you have a vice president who comes in and says that we want to make it harder for American energy workers and American energy companies to produce energy, shockingly, energy goes through the roof. And now we know, by the way, that if the guy who's driving your groceries to the grocery store is paying 45% more for diesel than all of us are paying more for groceries. If the guy who's delivering the lumber to the job site is paying 40% more for gasoline, then all of us are paying more for the stuff that's built at that job site. And so whenever Donald Trump is asked, what is our plan to lower costs for American consumers? What is our plan to lower costs for American citizens? It is very simple. Drill, baby, drill. We got to unleash American energy. And I know there's a little bit more of the energy economy in the western part of the state than the eastern part of the state, but all Pennsylvanians are going to benefit if we have a president who says, you know what, we're going to stop buying oil and gas from tin pot dictators all over the world. We're going to buy it from Pennsylvania workers, from Pennsylvania territory. We got plenty of it right here. Let's get it out of the ground. And there are so many contrasts, so many obvious things that Kamala Harris should have done, or maybe she even did the opposite of what she should have done. And you compare it to the record of Donald Trump and you realize why President Trump was able to deliver low prices and fast rising take-home pay. It's common sense economic policy. Think about this. Kamala Harris is the first candidate I've ever seen who will go around and brag that she wants to raise your taxes. Meanwhile, she'll reward foreign corporations and foreign companies for shipping American jobs overseas. How does that make sense? You know what Donald Trump wants to do? Donald Trump wants to give you more of your money. He wants to cut taxes for American workers. He wants to cut taxes for people who are creating jobs in this country. And he wants to penalize the foreign countries and the foreign businesses that are shipping American jobs overseas. That makes a lot more sense. You know, and look, there are all of these policies, all these criticisms that we could make of Kamala Harris, and obviously we do. But here's the biggest difference maybe between Kamala Harris and between Donald J. Trump is Kamala Harris, she doesn't just attack me. She doesn't just attack Donald J. Trump. And look, we asked for it. I asked to be your vice president. I'm asking every single day. So by all means, Kamala Harris, attack me. But you know who you shouldn't attack? You shouldn't attack the citizens of this country who are pissed off because you've done a bad job. And that's... And I think our message to the American people is don't let them call you garbage for thinking that you ought to be able to afford your groceries. Don't let them call you a racist for thinking that we ought to have a secure southern border. Don't let them say that we're bad people because we think that Kamala Harris is doing a bad job. So here's my message to Kamala Harris. We are not garbage for thinking that you've done a bad job, but in 2 days, we're going to take out the trash in Washington, D.C. So let me just finish on this note here. Early voting in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is over. By the way, who's early voted here? Interesting. Who hasn't voted yet? You know, Pennsylvania, that's the first time where I think we've got more people who haven't voted early, more people who plan to vote on Election Day, and that's fine. We got November the 5th. We got to get to the polls, but here's what I want you to do. I don't want you to just vote for yourself and for your family. I want every single person here to get out there and vote 10 times. Now, the Philadelphia Inquirer is about to say J.D. Vance comes to Pennsylvania and asks for large-scale vote fraud. Here is the legal way, Philadelphia Inquirer, that we're going to vote 10 times. You're going to take yourself to the polls. You're going to take 9 of your friends and family along with you. That's how we're going to vote 10 times the legal way. I love this saying, but there's a lot of truth to it. Look, we got to make this election in Pennsylvania too big to rig. That is the plan. We want to get so many voters that no matter what garbage the Democrats pull in the final stretches, no matter how many lies they try to circulate through the American media, that we make sure that the American people get a president who's fit to lead the greatest country in the world. We don't have it now, but we're about to have it in just 2 days. And, you know, just think about this. I mean, for the undecided voters, I imagine, hopefully most of you are not undecided voters, but I imagine we've got some folks who are watching and we'll see the clips later. Think about this. Think about the closing argument of the Kamala Harris campaign. She's got her boss, Joe Biden, calling half of the country garbage because we think that they've done a terrible job. They've got her running mate calling people fascists for attending rallies where we get out and celebrate this country and what it could be if we had better leadership. They're calling us racist for thinking that she's got disastrous border policies. Her basic argument, as far as I can tell, is that we are bad people for thinking that Kamala Harris should have done a better job with all the responsibility the American people have given her over the last few years. You know what Donald J. Trump's closing argument is? That we want every person, whether you vote for us or not, whether you agree with our politics, we want to unleash a golden age of American prosperity for all our citizens because we love this country, and that means loving the people who live here. We want every single American, we want every single Pennsylvanian to be able to afford groceries. We want every Pennsylvanian to live in safe and secure communities. And yes, I want every single person here, I'm sure all of us, know somebody in our lives who's planning to vote the wrong way on November the 5th. But I don't want us to take the bait of Kamala Harris and the Democrats. I want us to persuade those people to vote the right way over the next couple of days. But you know, if they vote the wrong way, they vote the wrong way. They're still our fellow citizens. We're still going to love them, and we're still going to serve them as best we can. Do not follow the lead of Kamala Harris and the Democrats. Look, I'm sure a lot of us, and I count myself among you, a lot of us have lost friends over politics. A lot of us have been attacked, have been criticized, have been lied about. Look, it's the nature of the process. You're never going to hear me complain about it. But we are never going to rebuild this country if we follow Kamala Harris's lead and attack our fellow citizens for having different political positions than us. We believe in persuasion. We believe in telling you you're wrong and persuading you ought to vote for the people's president, Donald J. Trump, right? It's very simple. But you know something that Donald Trump will never do? Donald Trump will never go out there and say that his fellow citizens should be censored or silenced for disagreeing with him. And that is maybe the single biggest difference between Kamala Harris and Donald J. Trump is, yes, we think she's doing a terrible job, and yes, we think that you ought to vote for us, but whatever you agree or disagree with us, we believe in the First Amendment of the United States. We're going to fight for your right to speak your mind, because this is America, and that's your right. So, while we're talking about peace and prosperity, we're talking about lowering those grocery prices, we're talking about making the American dream more affordable, Kamala Harris is out there attacking her fellow citizens. And so I think what we have, my friends, is not just an opportunity to give the American people a president who will fight for the interests of the American citizens. We have an opportunity to reject the broken politics of Kamala Harris. And here's maybe the most important issue. I know we talked about it a little bit, but look, We've got 25 million illegal aliens in this country right now. We've probably added, I don't know what the exact number is, but it's probably close to 15 million illegal aliens have come in just over the last 4 years under the policies of our border czar, Kamala Harris. We've got young American families who have been overwhelmed by migrant crime in our communities. You know, we have 425,000 illegal immigrant criminals in the United States of America right now. That's more than... How many Marines do we have out there? We got any Marines out there? Hoorah, thank you. We got a few, and we thank everybody. We thank everybody for your service, regardless of the branch of service, but we have got more than double the size of the United States Marine Corps in criminal migrants in this country. Think about that. Think about how crazy it is that our own government has allowed an invasion of this country at an unprecedented scale. So to the point where for every Marine in the United States of America, we've got 2 or more violent criminals. We just got to get them out of this country. It's very simple. And here's maybe the biggest contrast, where Kamala Harris is rolling out the red carpet for illegal aliens, and she's saying, let's give Social Security and Medicare benefits to illegal immigrants. By the way, Donald J. Trump and I think that Social Security and Medicare ought to go to the citizens who paid into those programs for years. You know, our message to the illegal immigrants in this country is much different from Kamala Harris, who's rolling out the red carpet. Our message is simple. If you came into this country illegally, pack your bags, because in 3 months you're going back home. It's that simple. So, let me just leave you with this thought here. So look, in the middle of an election season, it's very easy to get caught up in red team versus blue team, Democrats versus Republicans. One of the things I'm proud about is we've got a lot of great Democrats and independents who are supporting the common sense ticket. Think about this. We've got great leaders like Bill Haggerty, Glenn Youngkin, and Doug Burgum on the right. We got people like Tulsi Gabbard and Bobby Kennedy on the left. And all of them have been united under this ticket because we are the party of common sense. We're the party of giving our fellow citizens a good life. But as much as it's going to be fun to beat Kamala Harris and the Democrats, and trust me, I'll probably enjoy it more than anybody in here. I'm going to really enjoy beating Kamala Harris and the Democrats. Trust me. We got to remember what we're actually fighting for, because over the next few days, over the next 2 days, we've got to do everything that we can to get our friends, get our family, get ourselves to the polls and vote for Donald J. Trump, because the American people need better leadership. And I've met so many people that have made me feel incredibly hopeful and optimistic about this country and about our fellow citizens. I met a woman a few weeks ago who told me that she couldn't afford the price of groceries, but she knew the names, first, middle, and last, of every single one of my 3 children, because she said a prayer for them, for me, and for my wife every single day. A woman who couldn't afford groceries praying for me every day. That's the spirit of this country. I met a woman who told me, she's a retiree, who told me for 40 years she and her husband would do steak night every Friday. That was their thing, their special ritual. But last year, they stopped doing steak night because they couldn't afford groceries under Kamala Harris's terrible inflationary policies. I've met so many parents of teenagers who tell me that their kid did what a lot of teenagers did. He made an innocent mistake, who took something under peer pressure, but because that something was laced with fentanyl, brought in by the Mexican drug cartels, that teenager didn't wake up with a headache or with a lecture from their parents. They paid for that innocent mistake with their lives. And we got to think about what's really at stake here. What's at stake is that our fellow citizens deserve to be able to afford a steak at the end of the week. Our fellow citizens deserve to be able to raise their children where an innocent childhood mistake is going to be a learning lesson and not a death sentence. Our fellow citizens deserve to have a leader that puts the interests of this country first. Our fellow citizens deserve to be able to afford to buy a home. They deserve to be able to raise their children in secure communities. They deserve to be able to believe that the American dream is real for those who work hard and play by the rules. My friends, we've got the best country in the world, the best people, the best natural resources. The only thing that is broken about the United States of America is the failed leadership of Kamala Harris. Our people deserve a better president in 2 days. Let's give it to them. God bless you guys. Vote for Donald J. Trump. Vote for our people. God bless you.
Hello, Detroit auto worker, let me thank you for your time. You work a 40-hour week for a living, just to send it on down the line. Hello, Pittsburgh steel mill worker, let me thank you for your time. You work a 40-hour week for a living, just to send it on down the line. This is for the one who swings the hammer, driving home the nail. For the one behind the counter, ringing up the sales. For the one who fights the fires, the one who brings the mail. For everyone who works behind the scenes, you can see them every morning in the factories and the fields, in the city streets and the quiet country towns, working together like spokes inside a wheel. They keep this country turning around. Hello, Kansas, Wheatfield farmer, let me thank you for your time. You work a 40-hour week for a living, just to send it on down the line. Hello, West Virginia coal miner, let me thank you for your time. You work a 40-hour week for a living, just to send it on down the line. This is for the one who drives the big rig up and down the road. For the one out in the warehouse, bringing in the load. For the waitress, the mechanic, the policeman on patrol. For everyone who works behind the scenes, with a spirit you can't replace, with no machine.